Power on.
Real-time Sovryn is go.
Woo, it is the Golden Stallion, the man of tomorrow, Savzu, the rated R radio star, here, but not alone for a little real-time Sovryn. I am being joined by the ultimate shirker of responsibility.
Accurate.
The embodiment of Loki, of the Green Man. In fact, he is wearing green right now, which is amazing to me.
I don't know that I've ever been described that way, but I don't reject it.
Good, because that's how I see you, damn it.
Okay. I accept the accolades.
Yeah. But we are being joined by none other than BP, Mr. Brian Paul. In fact, it's funny, your shirt even has the coloration of the BP company. Like, it's the white, green, and yellow.
Yeah, quick aside, many years ago when I was like a teen, my mother realized that my initials were BP, like the petroleum company. My mom grew up in England, so this should not have been like a revelation for her. Yeah. And started, also this was around when like eBay was becoming a thing.
Yep.
She went on eBay and started buying BP memorabilia on eBay, like getting it shipped into the US, and I would get that like for birthdays and Christmas. She'd be like, look, a BP employee shirt and a BP bottle opener, and it was like, Mom, you're the one who named me this. Why is this like a hilarious discovery for you?
That's so wacky.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you are correct. The observation has been made even by my mother.
All right. So this might be because you're a little bit younger than I.
By like a few months.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I think.
But I was named after. So my initials are BJM.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out that that was specifically chosen to match up with B.J. McKay. Do you know who B.J. McKay is?
I don't recall that off top head, no.
This is before, obviously, even my time,
okay.
because I was born during its, like, when it was a thing on TV. It was
okay.
B.J. McKay and his best friend Bear. And it's a television show starring Greg Evigan, who I would later love Greg Evigan for other reasons. Why do people do that to us? Why do they name us after this shit?
I was told that I was specifically named after nobody. I'm not named after anyone. And then it was this magical revelation.
Magical revelation?
Much later in life, when my mother was like, because people refer to, because there's plenty of Brians, as you know.
Yeah, sure.
If you're aware. And so often you'll get a nickname if there's others of your name, right?
Right.
And so BP was a common nickname for me going all the way back to my teens.
Yeah.
And then people eventually were like, oh, BP, oh, like that oil company.
Yeah.
And then my mother heard people calling me this and was like, oh, BP, like that oil company. And she was like, holy smokes, I gotta
run with that.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know why that was.
Do you think that this led to like your tremendous success in life? Because you're named after a very powerful company.
Accidentally, I was named after them.
Right,
yes,
right.
Not intentionally.
Right.
And so, therefore, I would attribute any of my successes to accident, not intention.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Just like the BP accident that happened in the Gulf of Mexico, right?
Right.
Like, I mean,
that was an accident.
Total accident.
You know. According to my mom, I was not conceived as an accident. That was a choice.
Nice.
They did choose to conceive me.
We don't often get that.
We don't. Yeah. Some do, some don't. And no shame either way. But according to my mother, that was a choice. They wanted to have me. I think everything else in my life can be attributed to accident and happenstance.
I like it.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah,
I just, take very little credit for anything that's happened to me.
Right. Though becoming a scientist was a conscious choice on your part.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. It took a lot of work. It did take a lot of effort. But the fact that I'm a gainfully employed engineer, I attribute more to a lovely coincidence of opportunity, and then a heavy dose of just white guy privilege. And they were like, sure, you're a white dude from the area who has a piece of paper that says he's an engineer.
You're hired.
You're hired. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I was their first choice candidate. I don't know if I was their last choice candidate, but I was willing to work for the money they wanted to pay me.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, come on in. And that's what I wanted with that piece of paper.
But
So.
you know what's amazing? So, and I'll edit this out if you don't want me to share this. Okay. But I called you the ultimate shirker of responsibility. Like, man, you will not take on anything. I mean, you just enjoy, like, kind of like coasting on this stuff. But then you're brilliant at the same time.
Yeah. You know, I can try when I want to.
Yeah, right.
But
right.
I never really feel like any success I have was actually because I did anything. So I'll try for success. But when it works out, I think that there was probably other you know, what I'm saying is I want to acknowledge all the other factors at play besides, you know, my one true will overall.
Right.
Truth shall be the whole of the law or whatever, you know.
Wow,
will
man, going all Crowley on me.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I know I've heard this whole idea of that, and I think that, you know, choice and my willpower is a factor.
Right.
But I think it's foolish to think that is the only one.
Yeah, totally. I mean...
It's maybe the only one under my control.
Right.
But I think it would be quite optimistic to think that it's that powerful.
Yeah, this is totally a fucking American thing. Like, the idea of that luck had no part. You know what I mean? Or that there aren't, like, external forces that are affecting you. And, because you go around the rest of the world, they get that.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, it's even in their language. You know, they understand. And
oh, sure, yeah. Like, that you're like, oh, we don't have a class structure here in the U.S. It's all about hard work. And you go to England, and they're like, yeah, man, I'm a plumber. We've all been plumbers. We'll never be nobles. And they're happy and cool with it. I mean,
right.
Not that they all are. I mean,
no,
trying to want more. But, you know, they're just like, other places have, like, the forces at work in the world are going to place you where you're going to be placed.
Yep.
You know, you have free will and you have some pushing, but there's bumpers.
Right.
The universe has bumpers.
It makes me want to talk about Elon Musk, but I'm not going to right now.
Oh, sure, I can rip on him if you want.
That's how I ended up in this chair today. So I was like, okay, you know, you want to come record with me because you've been on the show before. You want to come record with me, and you're like, yeah. And then I said, you get to make fun of libertarians, and you said, God damn it,
yeah, I'm
in.
There.
You son of a bitch. I am in.
Yeah. You're like, I need rage bait, and I was like, oh, I can do that. I can do that. I can say things with enough presumed confidence. At least it sounds like I'm confident on the topic. To make it rage bait.
Yeah.
And then I'll be completely wrong.
Yeah.
But I said it confidently.
Right. Oh, see, now you're hitting at a whole other thing. I mean, this is the thing. People do not respond to accuracy. You know what I mean? Like they don't respond to truth. They respond to confidence.
Yeah, but we are powerful, rational men, and boy, do we emotionally react to emotionally charged statements made on a podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
By other powerful, rational men who think, and we're not emotional. And now I'm so mad. And okay, all right. I guess all these emotions make you not emotional. Right,
and somehow they make you like right and true in what you're saying, which is utter nonsense. So yeah, I mean, fortunately for me, I guess that's how I've made my career. Is that like,
if you're making money doing it,
yeah, right.
I mean, go for it. I'm just saying, just call a spade a spade. That's all.
Yeah. I'm just fortunately not running Fortune 500 companies or a country. So,
so
nobody gets hurt.
Say whatever crazy thing you want.
Exactly.
Nobody's taking national defense advice from you.
Yeah, right. No one's getting fired because of me.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think so, but anyway.
I mean, if they are, it's their fault.
Yeah. So, all right, before we circle back to some of this.
Okay.
When you came over to the studio.
The mighty temple.
Yes. It is, yes. You're looking up at the menorah. I can see you.
Yeah. Anyway. Are you supposed to salute the menorah? I don't know. Sorry, I was trying to show a gesture of respect, and maybe that wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, Judaism's a phallic religion, and we don't want to go too far with that, right?
I'm sorry, because the Ark is also there, so I'm kind of like both of them just being like. Okay.
Yeah, right. Well, it becomes a question. I mean, like, okay, so the menorah, like, what is that? Like, where the hell did that even come from? I mean, it's really just like a symbol of a comet trail. But that's a whole separate conversation to get into. That's okay.
Sorry, you're getting us off topic of an off topic.
I love it. So, you came in, and you told me, first off, I want to hear about, like, this is such a wild idea to me, that I mean, okay, I've heard of people renting theaters before. Like, that's not new, okay? But, like, you rent a theater, and, like, once a month, everybody gets together. I was going to say a bunch of guys, but I don't want to be presumptuous. There are women there. Okay, that's amazing. All right, so you do this, and you just watch whatever movie that somebody in the group like picks out.
Yep.
And the movie you picked out is from 1982.
Yes.
From Turkey.
Turkey, yep.
And it's called
The Man Who Saved the World.
The Man Who Saved the World.
Sometimes I see it rendered as The Man Who Saves the World. It's unclear to me if the correct translation is like a present tense or past tense. I don't know Turkish well enough to correct their grammar, but The Man Who Saved the World, I believe, is the title.
Okay, so I tried to look this movie up. It's not in Wikipedia. Now, after you told me what it's about, I can imagine why.
I think there's another movie that was released in like 2013.
Yes.
That has the same name.
Yep.
If you get past that, you can find the Wikipedia article. There is one for it.
Oh, there is.
There is.
Okay. All right, so it's a failure in my search abilities.
Well, it wasn't helped by the fact that somebody else used that name for an American title fairly recently.
Right, it was like 2013.
So
exactly.
this movie that never had an official release anywhere outside of Turkey.
Right.
It's understandable that it's buried a little bit in the search results.
Yeah.
But like Google at this point knows I'm a crazy person. So when I ask it things, it sort of like has learned how to predict that I'm trying to already skip past whatever it would want to serve anyone else.
Just go off the wall.
Like I imagine that genuinely there's like a Google server where they're like, these are the sad losers.
Yep.
Who are doing the weirdest stuff. Just serve them up their stuff over here. Like, stop messing up our algorithm.
I love it. Okay. So now I know, and we'll give them a free plug. You got this from Sloppy Second Sales, right? You got the Blu-ray.
Yes,
which,
I did.
Satan bless you. That's wonderful. I'm going to borrow this.
Yes.
And I'm going to watch this movie. I have not yet. Okay. But, so you got the Blu-ray. I mean, now Sloppy Second Sales will, like, they offer, like, rare movies, a lot of movies that'll probably never get put on to disc, physical, or put on a streaming service or anything like that. They're one of these, like, secondhand kind of market things. They often do sell a lot of stuff that actually is on streaming, but that you can't get physical.
Yeah, there's one whole wing of their business is releasing physical media of stuff that is recent, is current, and the companies are like, no, we want to sell a streaming service. We refuse to make a physical version of this. And they go off and make a bootleg rip off of the streaming service, and you can buy a disc. And then you can be like, great, cool, I don't have to get an Apple subscription or whatever.
No, right. I mean, this is super useful for many reasons. I mean, just like torrenting is useful.
It's essentially like a torrenting kind of a, mantra. Right? Like, screw you, I want a copy.
Yeah, well, I mean, because I've purchased from them as well. And, like, one of the things I have is the TV series of Willow. Because that isn't even on Disney Plus anymore. They took it down for tax reasons. So, like... So this is the thing, like, they're doing a public service by
because some of these
out
streaming shows, exactly, is like, they don't always keep them around.
No.
Right? Because some of them, they want you to keep subscribing so you can watch it when it's on. And as we've learned, even that's no longer a guarantee. Therefore, you know what? Good for these guys.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much I can plug piracy on this show, but...
all the way.
Okay. But the prices, they're not charging, like, you're paying for the disc and the
pretty
container
much.
And a few minutes of somebody's time. Like, the prices are, $15 or less for a lot of this stuff, which for people, any of your listeners who are younger and didn't used to go to, Best Buy to collect their DVDs, that's a good price. If you don't have
it's like a fourth of the price.
If you don't have a frame of reference for what, DVDs and Blu-rays cost, that's a good price.
Yeah, you're literally paying the price of the disc and shipping. Right. And you get a case with it as well, with like artwork.
Yep.
It's nice. I mean, I've had a couple sets that I was like, oh, they screwed up on the menu. And it...
I think I bought a whole bunch from them.
Yep.
And I think I've had one come through where it skipped during a scene or something.
Okay.
Where like the transfer didn't quite work right.
Yep.
And considering the price I paid and how many I have purchased, to have one that's a little wonky is an acceptable success rate. Because at one point I bought the official Fast and Furious box set of like 8 or 9 movies, of like Blu-rays, because I at that point actually had not really seen many, if any, of them. I'd seen maybe one. I'm watching all of these, and I spent a weekend watching all 8. One of them, I forget, maybe number 7. There was like a whole chunk of the movie that wouldn't play.
Oh shit!
And you're like, so if the pros are getting 1 in 8, Sloppy Second Sales is doing better than that.
Yeah, right.
So
totally.
Like, right? Like, what critique is that? And you're like, apparently they're good as, just as good as the pros, so fucking get shopping.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so, I mean, just to share a little more experience, just in case people start, want to go and frequent these people. Again, they're not a sponsor or anything like that. But, like, I bought the Snake Eater trilogy with Lorenzo Lamas, and who I could watch all day long, and, I usually have to change my underwear about halfway through anything he's in. Including Renegade and The Immortal, things like that. Okay, so this is something, like, the reason I bought it, because I can make my own discs. Like, I mean, I have a whole setup, and, I mean, I can do it all. But I can't even find those 3 movies, like, on torrent sites to be able to get them and then convert them and whatever else. So for me, it was well worth it. Now, when I got the disc, the disc didn't work. And I was like, oh, fuck. Now, I ordered like 5 discs from him at once. And so, again, it's like this 1 out of 5 that there was a problem. I emailed him. I'm like, hey, like, look, if you could just send me the ISO, send me the ISO file, I can burn it. Like, just we transfer it or whatever to me. And, but no, instead he's like, give me your address, I'll send you another copy. And he just asked for like a picture of the disc. Because, when you're looking at a burned disc, you can see if there's like a flaw.
Right.
I mean, I've been doing this for like 20 years, so I get the deal. But that's the thing. It's like he has stuff, much like this 1982 Turkish film, that you might not even be able to find on the torrent sites, or at least on the more popular ones.
Yeah, and they have a bunch of stuff where they are kind of doing like Criterion stuff where they're like reconstructing the movie from the best available sources, and you're like, but for movies that nobody cares about, but the niche, B movie fans and whatnot. So they also have stuff where you're like, sure, you could find this movie elsewhere. Ours is a better scan of it.
I love it.
Such as the Man Who Saved the World. I brought to the theater, I won't say who because I don't want to get him in trouble for playing bootleg movies. But locally owned, and gave it to him, and he was like, this Blu-ray works at home. I don't know if it's going to work with their proper setup. Right? I don't know the tech involved with their high-end film projector equipment. And he was like, should be fine. I had already told him what the movie was. He looked it up. He goes, it is on YouTube. So if it doesn't work, I can plug YouTube in. We can stream it that way. And I was like, no, but this is a like 2K high-res burn of it that you cannot get on YouTube. And so he went and he tested it. He came back and this is like the film projectionist. Not that it's the same as it's always been. But he was like, that's a really good scan of a garbage movie.
Right.
And he was like, that was cool. He watched the whole thing to make sure it was. And was like, I'm like, yeah, you can't. If we had watched the YouTube version of this, we would have had a similar experience. But like, we wouldn't have had those crisp shots of cardboard monsters.
Totally. I mean, this is something I'll do as well for some. Actually, kind of a famous example is like this TV movie that's never going to get a proper release. Had Kevin Conroy in it though. Batman. It's called Island City. Okay. And I did the full remastering. I went through Topaz, I did audio work on it, the whole thing, just to like make sure this is as good as this can fucking ever look. Because otherwise, you can find it on YouTube, but it's like 360p. It's shit. Yep. And I just love that there's people out there, and I don't mean to like pat myself on the back. I mean, I have plenty of people that'll do that for me. But but like, it's so fun to see that. Like that, there's value in that alone. But I want to ask you, like, so we know why we go to Sloppy Second Sales. Yep. Such a great name. But what even attracted to you? Like, why did you say, okay, wait, I want this Turkish film? I don't think I've ever even seen a film out of Turkey in my life. And I'm like, this part alone, I'm stunned by.
Well, I guess, I'm as a kid, seeing something like Mystery Science Theater.
Oh yeah.
For some people, will have a deep psychological impact on you.
Yep.
It did on me.
Same.
And in addition to it being the humor of it, it gave me like this fascination with garbage cinema.
Yeah.
And so back in the day, you know, when getting a film was going to what do I want to say? Going to a rental place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
You know, you had to literally walk down the street and get some. And even then, there were junk movies in the aisles, and I would go down with a friend of mine, right, and we would pick out some terrible movies to watch on our own.
Yeah.
Bring them home, and that's what we would do on a Saturday night when we were bored. Is we would pop into the VHS and watch these terrible movies, and it's almost like the stuff that's really good, quote unquote, I guess, is like watching these movies and still trying to appreciate them as a piece of art, trying to be like, storytelling is still happening here. And there's like, I don't know, like, it gets into this, like, being alive is living a story. And like, learn about stories is interesting. And I guess it's really interesting to me to like look at stories that were poorly made in a certain lens. You know, I don't know that they're wonderful and I love them, so they're not poorly made.
Right.
But like, I feel like that's the attraction, is like I like that there's no pretension. Like I could sit down and watch some fancy director, Scorsese. Yeah, right. Right? And you're like, sure, he's also telling powerful stories about stuff.
Sure.
But it's pretentious as well.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I've enjoyed his films.
Yep, same.
But then sometimes you're like, I just don't want any of that. I want to go watch, I want a story, but I want, it's okay to have a story and be entertained, right? And Scorsese, like, hates Marvel movies.
Yeah. Right?
And it's like, this like in the literary world, a hatred for genre fiction. And you're like, it's still fiction. It's still a story.
Right.
Like, this can still be about the human condition. Just because there are werewolves doesn't mean it's not. It's still a metaphor for something that we deal with.
Yes.
But instead of just showing somebody dealing with addiction, I use the metaphor of a werewolf.
Yeah.
I'm still telling a story. You know, like...
Yeah.
And so I guess it's like me going, well, this is another way to like, you know, so like that's kind of, I think, the appeal. I like seeing, there's another piece of why these movies appeal to me is there's so much creativity in working with so little.
Yes.
Right? That we watch big movies and you're just like, I don't even know how they do that. Like, okay, green screen, but like, what is, okay, now you do it. I don't know how to do it. You know what, right? Like, computers, okay, and continue. What else, right? Like, there's got to be something to this, and that there are artists involved in the process, but it seems so divorced from like, I have no idea. I couldn't do that. You couldn't give me footage, and then I could make somebody flying through the air. Yep. But give me some cardboard and some paint, and plastic and so on, and I could build a costume. I could build a set. Like, I can see the artistry of what they're doing here, even if they're not as good as, you know, the scenic painters that George Lucas employed to make the opening temple gambit of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Right. But that you zoom out and you see what the set looked like, and it was like, that was plywood and paper mache. And so I just love that because it's, you know, poor quality, which it's not, but it's easier to see the artistry going into it, which can be seen as like sloppy and bad. Yeah. Like, oh, you can see the zipper on that costume. By the way, in The Man Who Saved the World, there's at least 2 or 3 instances where you can literally see the zipper on the costumes of the monsters. They don't even hide it. It's amazing. And like that, to me, like that draws me in. I'm like, oh, humans made this.
Yes. Isn't it more honest? Yeah. Like, doesn't it feel more honest?
You see the fingerprint of the people who made it on it, right?
Yeah, like, I'm just as impressed, you know, with a film that is, like, seamless, you know, where it's like, where it just, especially, this is more impressive when CGI wasn't as dominant.
Right, like
in
when
films.
you see Back to the Future.
Yeah,
and
right.
you're just like, I believe that time machine works.
Yep.
That's legit.
Yeah, exactly. Or I think of often, in fact, the studio's surrounded by it, The Matrix, where there's only one scene where you can see Keanu Reeves grab the wires, doing the wire fu.
Mm-hmm.
It's only one, though. And like, honestly, if we didn't have DVDs, I don't think anybody would have noticed it.
Sure.
And I applaud it for that. It's like, wow, you only made one mistake. But then at the same time, like, I'm so with you on this, and I love that this conversation came up, because I don't think there's enough appreciation for the B movie, the C movie, the D movie, and so on. And you're hitting at it. Like, and I really, like, I think that's it. Yeah, it doesn't look as good as Star Wars. It doesn't look as good, whatever, Jurassic Park, I don't care. Take your pick of the film.
Yep.
But there's just something so human about it. There's something so honest about it. And in fact, right now, so let me run this theory by you.
Okay.
Considering that we live in a world of AI slop right now.
Yep. Yeah, we do. Yep.
I feel like these movies play better today than they even did when they first came out.
Sure.
And part of that is because they're just so fucking human. They're just so authentic and genuine. Yeah, the acting might be shit. The effects are shit. But, like, somebody really poured it in on this. And you can tell some of the actors a lot of times in these movies, like, they think anything could be my big break. You never know what somebody's going to see. And they're giving it everything they've got. Like you said, the pretension. The director's not pretentious. The actors, aren't being pretentious. They're just trying to, whatever,
The performances in The Man Who Saved the World are incredible. They are giving their best possible performance. It's earnest. And, like, that's what makes it so magical to see a man trying his hardest while he karate chops the fuzzy arm off a giant bear monster named Dragon. And he, like, rips his head off. And he's giving the same performance as if he was stabbing Julius Caesar and Caesar et tu brute, and that whole thing. You're like, same level of seriousness.
Right. It's like Rex Harrison in front of him, but it's a dude in a fursuit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, because I'm with you. Like, I mean, my Blu-ray collection, like, most of it, honestly, are like B movies. Like, they're low end, low rent, kind of. But for me, I love that you brought up Mystery Science Theater 3000. Now, when I was a teenager, and that was like the thing, on Sci-Fi Channel or whatever else. Part of my problem with the show was, I still loved it, but part of my problem with it was they would, well, for example, the movie, Mystery Science Theater 3000, the movie, in which they watch This Island Earth. Okay. They're making fun of it. They do an amazing job. It's so great. But I love that movie. Like, This Island Earth, I mean. I think it's a great movie on its own. Okay. And so my concern was at the time is like, okay, yeah, they're ripping on these movies and they're actually, like, ruining them for people so that they couldn't really appreciate, the movies for what they were. But it sounds like you are actually the proof that that's not what happened at all. Like, you watched them and you got inspired.
Yeah, I think, I do think that there's a certain, you could look at through the lens of, like, are we laughing at them or with them?
Yeah.
Right? And I think plenty of probably people who are fans of the genre of riffing movies, you might presume you'd be like, so you hate everything. You hate all of these things.
Right.
And I think to get that much mileage out of such a concept, you would have to love it. Right? You have to love what's happening to be able to poke fun at it without it always just being sitting there watching these movies and just go, well, that sucked. And you're like, ha 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 ha. But after the 300th movie, and you just at every scene go, well, that sucked. You're like, okay, you don't understand what riffing is.
Yeah, no, right.
Right? Like, riffing is so much more than that. And I think sometimes I'll see people who will because they're still making Mystery Science Theater, they do seasons when they can get the funding and whatever.
Yeah.
And I've seen people critique some of the newer ones to be like, why didn't they point out that costume looked bad? That was a prime spot for riffing. You're like, well, they're not just trying to point out that special effect was bad. Yeah, we know. They're all bad. That's not what we're riffing.
Right.
Right? We're just adding unnecessary commentary that easier to kind of consume when the movie is low enough quality that you're like, be like, stop distracting, like people talking during a movie you really like, and you're like, stop talking, I want to part, and you're like, the movie's low quality, so you're not annoyed when somebody chimes in with a comment. But like the Riff Tracks guys who came out of Mystery Science Theater group, they've done bigger named movies, and you're like, right, and you're like, you can't make fun of The Empire Strikes Back. It's a perfect film. And you're like, no, that's not the point.
Yeah, you read my mind. Like, because actually, I don't own copies, official Blu-ray copies of the Star Wars movies, because I actually like the versions that have the Riff Tracks audio available, like built into it. So I keep digital versions of that. And it's my favorite way to watch them. And there's no way that those guys are making fun of the Empire. Like, they love The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, right. Like, you're missing the point.
Right.
Like, that's... Anybody who thinks the point of Mystery Science Theater is to hate these movies. It's like, I can't watch these movies without the riffing. And occasionally there is a movie that bad. Where you're like, the only way to watch this is with riffing.
Right.
But I'm somebody who has watched plenty of those old movies, gone back and just watched them on my own. Because... they're great. They're great movies. And, and the riffing is, if anything, just a way to bring awareness to a movie you couldn't have learned about otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. Bingo. I think you're totally on. I mean, and even a lot of times they don't watch the entire movie in Mystery Science Theater.
Yeah, right. They clip it way down to fit it into their 90-minute slot, and it's like a 90-minute movie that needs all of this bookending. Yeah, they cut out a whole bunch.
Yeah. But that's such an interesting... That's so fascinating that's what got you into watching quote-unquote terrible movies. I love that. I mean, because I love terrible movies too. Now, I mean, I don't think Mystery Science Theater 3000 got me into that. For me, honestly, like at the time, so I'm growing up in like the 90s, or late 80s and in the 90s. Like what was in theaters was so sanitized. In the sense, I mean, there was Porky's, there was, I don't know, Meatballs, whatever, all those like kind of like sex comedy movies or something like that. But to actually watch a action movie that had like, shall we say, sexual content or something, okay, which, I'm a horny teenager and I'm wanting it. That was only being done in the B movies, that was only being done by, Andy Serkis, or not Andy Serkis, Andy Sedaris. Andy Sedaris. Or, Roger Corman, and you make a great example because like, even if you get a bigger budget, you actually can end up with a worse film. So for example, one of Roger Corman's classics is Forbidden World. Very, very, very... I mean, like, the effects are terrible. There's so much wrong with it. It's sexy, though. But, like, they remade it in the 90s. And it was called Dead Space. I mean, the budget was, like, way higher. I mean, they tried to make it, like, a legit release. And the movie's... Dead Space is a terrible film. Like, I mean, and it's not terrible as in, like, it's enjoyable, so bad it's good. No, this is just a bad movie.
Yeah.
But, like, the original version that didn't have anywhere near that amount of budget was far... that being Forbidden World, far superior.
Okay.
So,
all
like,
right, I gotta watch it.
Yeah, no, totally. But that's the thing is that I think, like, humans shine best when we have those limitations. That low budget films.
Yeah,
and whatever
unless you're the transcendent genius of Spielberg,
more
money isn't going to help you.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Like, to really make the most of more resources.
Yep.
You better be good.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you've just got more to mess up.
Yeah.
Right. Like. For some, it can help, but Spielberg made great movies before they're just like blank check.
Yep.
Whatever you want, sir. You can make that movie. Right? He had to earn that.
Yeah.
And he did that on. He made Jaws, right? With a, I forget how, it wasn't a shoestring budget, but it was not
pretty close.
It was not a crazy Marvel movie budget.
Yeah, no,
right?
no,
Like,
right.
he made that, and he was like, I'm going to work within these constraints. I'm not going to show you my shitty animatronic shark.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it elevated the movie because you never saw it. It made you more paranoid.
Yep.
And it was like, because he's good. He knows how to use his constraints to make a good movie. And he did such a good job that they gave him more money to make better movies.
Yeah.
But, like, he didn't need the money, so to speak, right, to elevate it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, it's really, I feel like it's such a broad problem with Hollywood in general right now. It's just that, like, now we're to the point that, you know, again, you can do anything. You can put anything on the screen. There's no limits. And because of that, I think we actually lose a lot of creativity. We lose a lot of really cool ideas. I don't know. Do you have thoughts on that?
Oh, I guess the first thing you make me think of is film is a visual medium. Yes.
Yep.
Right. So yeah, we got to spend a lot of money on the visuals.
Mm-hmm,
sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it is not a painting.
Right.
And so, actually, this isn't a dig at paintings, but like it's still a storytelling medium.
Yep.
Right. We still need an essential story.
Yep.
And all the other stuff, the acting, the directing, the cinematography, the special effects, all of that elevates your story.
Yeah.
And can fix a weak story.
It can. Yeah.
But you still need a good story, right? And instead, we've just become so advanced in our visuals,
mm-hmm.
and we're like, okay, cool. Who's training the writers, right?
Yeah.
Like who's cranking out top quality writers? And like AI.
Yeah. Right.
We just showed them all the Lucas scripts, and we asked it for a new one. And you're like, oh, then this is dead. Then the medium is dead.
Yeah.
Right. Like at this point, just use your computers to make porn.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
If it's just visual and we're not here for the story, that's porn.
Yes, you are 100% right about that. That's the literal definition of porn.
Like, yeah, and I mean, like, porn's great.
Sure.
Right? Like, we need porn. Porn has its purpose. We need our pleasures, but that's not, that's not cinema.
Yeah, no, right. But it's pleasure without context.
Right.
Yeah, and yes, that can have its place, you know, a quick fix, whatever, I suppose. But it's also, like, not exactly art. You know, then
right. You were allowed to enjoy a tasty meal,
right?
You're like, I'm allowed to have porn for my mouth without a story.
Yeah,
I'm allowed to have porn for my physical pleasure,
right?
But that does not make me a complete and satisfied human.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I'm not a fulfilled person. I need a story. I need that human connection. Give me the fucking story.
Yeah. It's like eating Soylent, or drinking, actually, Soylent, instead of having, like, some real, like, chana masala or an amazing pizza or something.
Yeah, you're like, hey, I'm nourished. Thank you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's if all we're doing is upping our visuals,
yep,
then we've just made porn, which is, okay, this is not the same.
No, I love that. In fact, I think really, like, you know, I'm not with Scorsese on everything, but I agree. Like, I don't like Marvel films, and you know, I think you could, like, a lot of these kind of visual extravaganzas and whatever else. I mean, you could almost just, like, you could just call them porn, you know, like,
right, in a certain sense.
Yeah.
Here, I'll say something heretical for your audience.
Oh, please.
Okay. The film Rogue One. You've probably heard of it. It's a Star Wars movie.
Yes.
Okay. Not great. Okay.
Wow.
I'll start off with that.
There's the heretic.
To piss everyone off. Okay. Let me skip to the part that's relevant to the point we're making.
Yeah.
I have plenty of things I could say I don't like about that
We
movie.
might go there. All right.
But we watched this whole movie, and then at the very end we get Darth Vader in with the greatest special effects ever made by mankind,
mm-hmm.
of him murdering the fuck out of a bunch of guys.
Yep.
Right? And it's very pleasing to watch because we never got to see that. Lucas just didn't have the tech to make that happen, because he would have done that back in the day if he could have, right? Vader's a badass.
Yeah.
But, like, that scene serves nothing for the story. I just watched how much of this movie, because, like, I'd be like, I really don't like the plot of Rogue One. Just doesn't do it for me. It just wasn't for me. I didn't like the story that much. And the refrain is always, but that Vader scene, man, Vader scene.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, then just release the Vader scene. Just go put it on StarWars.com.
Yep.
Right, with this short film of going, hey guys, we can finally do Vader in full CGI craziness. Fine. I don't need a 90-minute weak story for porn at the end.
Yeah.
Right? Don't get me wrong, the scene is amazing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make it a good movie for me. Right? And it's like, cool, thanks. That was not necessary.
Mm-hmm.
So what? Who cares?
Yeah.
You know? And, like, so I'm not crapping on the scene,
mm-hmm.
but just, like, this is what I had to go through to get a piece of porn. And again, and again, to be clear, porn is great.
Yeah, right.
It's a cool scene, but it did nothing for nothing for the plot of the movie. It did nothing for it, right. It was just like a little. It would be like if you watch some movie, you're like, oh, that movie was okay, and they'd be like, yeah, but did you see her tits?
Yeah, right.
We did get that topless scene
right.
of whoever, actress. You'd be like, I mean, yeah, she's hot, but I had to watch 90 minutes then to see some boobies? Come on. That's not.
Yeah, I hear you, but, and, though, there's, and I know but I mean, there's a lot of people out there that's it. Like, that's enough for them. That they go through that and they go, ooh, 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 and they have the good time.
They're allowed to, right? The movie sold tickets, and I accept that I'm wrong. I'm incorrect, but that is my assessment of that movie.
Wow.
And sort of visual effects being porn, and porn is great, but you can put porn in if we're doing cinema.
Yeah.
Put it in the movie. So, like, I guess maybe like a counterpoint of, like, what do I mean by, like, porn that can be still within the film and be, like, good. Think about any, like movies where, like, the cinematography and the visuals are beautiful within a good movie. Right, that serves the plot. And so you can cut to, like, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and you finally get to see the huge fucking spaceship come out of the sky, and it's doing all these colors.
Yeah.
And you could have just been like, that just happens at the end of the movie, isn't this? Because when that came out, right, those visuals were amazing and mind blowing. But like, what if that had no build up and had no tying into the noise and the music and all these other things that came part of it, and you were just kind of like, wasn't that a cool shot?
Yeah, right.
But you wouldn't be like, wow, what a great movie.
Yeah.
You would have been like, that was just visual, that was just porn.
Yeah.
But instead, that was like the culmination of the plot, and they did it in a visually interesting way, but also was tying together threads of the story.
No, I love this comparison because it's literally the money shot. Like, and like, spaceships come down and suddenly everybody's, jizz all over everybody's face.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't go to toe with you on, like, Rogue One being a bad movie. I'll admit, like, okay, it's nowhere near anything George Lucas made. Like, it doesn't live up to that hype. But that's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
So
That's okay.
I get your point, and I really don't disagree with that either. Like, I mean, ultimately, because yes, that is the scene everybody remembers.
You're like, cool, I remember how throughout the whole movie, they're all like, oh no, Vader's on the way, and he's going to do that. Oh wait, no, they never talk about that. That has nothing to do with anything going on in the movie.
Yeah, because, I mean, you're right, because it feels, so, I mean, I know that there's, like, a conscious writing decision to do that. And the conscious writing decision is that, like, once you start, like, it was trying to be this very grounded war movie. Trying.
Yep.
And once you bring in the Force and all that shit, like, you get taken out of the grounded war movie, the grittiness and all this. But, like, I agree, as much as I love seeing Vader's castle, like, the scene between Vader and Krennic talking feels very tacked on. It's like, wait, why would he fly all the way to fucking Mustafar to talk to Vader? It's like, don't we have, like, a HoloNet where we can send holograms of each other and all, like, I'm with you. Like, that doesn't make sense. Clearly, the reason that the scene with Vader and Krennic is put in is because we can't just have Vader show up out of nowhere.
Yeah, right. You're like, we just threw this in so that to go, oh, by the way, Vader still exists or whatever.
Yeah,
He's
it's like
around.
It's still a Star Wars movie, folks. There's lightsabers. Like that's basically like what they had to do with that scene.
Yeah.
As great as it is, but it does stand out on its own for a lot of reasons. And I see your point. That's I'll take it.
Yeah. I won't spend a lot of time bashing a movie people love. I'll just note that I think it has issues, and you guys can all hate me for that. And that's okay. That's okay.
Did you watch Andor?
No. I gotta go to Sloppy Second Sales and just get the Blu-rays.
I mean, I do think they officially released them, but still, I support piracy, so go for it.
Yeah. It's the reason I haven't watched it is partly I don't have the subscription, and partly I'm a busy guy. I haven't gotten...
You are.
It's not for lack of wanting.
No, right.
Like, I hear Andor is great.
It is.
And it can be. And in no way... Like, it doesn't... Just because I dislike Rogue One doesn't mean that Andor, I'm in any way throwing shade at Andor.
Right.
Like, sure, there can be other good stories told with these characters. It's just this particular story wasn't great with these characters.
Yeah.
That's
No, I hear you. I mean, the more I get removed from it, I mean, I've become an OT guy anyway, like in the past year or two.
Mm-hmm.
But like the more I get removed from Rogue One, like I'm and actually I said this years ago when it first came out, like Jyn Erso comes off as an almost terrible character. Like I mean, there's something off, and you can feel the reshoots in that movie that just don't feel right. And honestly, and this is something I've also said in the past, like the second half of that movie is amazing. The first half is very plotting. Like it's just not there. So point being, the listeners can get pissed off at me too.
Okay.
So, all right. So speaking of Star Wars, though.
Okay.
And real quick, like, so this movie from 1982, this Turkish masterpiece.
Yes.
That you have watched in a theater.
More than once. Once in a theater. Yes.
Uses a lot of footage from Star Wars, doesn't it?
Yeah. So a lot of people refer to it as Turkish Star Wars, and good segue. And the thing to know, myself and other fans of the film, do not like this moniker because it misrepresents what this film is.
Okay.
So when they were making the movie, so the story goes, I haven't spoken to the filmmakers myself, but
sure. It's been 40 years.
It's been a while, yeah. So the story goes, they had the money to do their own miniatures and special effects, and they had like built or were working on it in a studio, and then like a storm or something like leveled it, and they were like, crap, that was going to be like half of our movie, and now we're out of money. And they went, well, what if we just go take some reels of Star Wars, cut out the spaceship bits, and just layer our own stuff on top of it, and they turned it all into the first like 10, 15 minutes of the movie is a bunch of Star Wars footage, just kind of like, and there's a ton of exposition.
Okay.
None of it fucking matters, but the Earth was blown up into like asteroids, and they're now all planetoids, and everybody lives on like these little planets now, but then they keep talking about we have to save Earth, and I'm not sure if it's a translation issue or just the script is unclear in its own naming of things. And then once you get past that, they basically crash land on one of the little planets, and the wizard is there. The wizard, and he wants to take over all of the galaxy, and they got to stop him. And at this point, there's nothing about this plot that has anything to do with Star Wars. The only reason people call it Turkish Star Wars is because they use spaceship footage. But, like, the plot is really... I mean, unless you're just like, if there's spaceships battling each other and people blowing up planets, it's Star Wars. Okay, if that's how loose our definition is, then it's Turkish Star Wars. But
I mean, hey, George Lucas sued Battlestar Galactica over less back in the 80s or in the 70s. So,
so what do I know? But you will find, if you look up Turkish Star Wars, it'll lead you into the same movie. Yeah. But
all right, now, I didn't ask this.
Okay.
So, is this dubbed in English, or are you doing
subtitles? The copy I
subtitles?
have is subtitled.
Okay, beautiful. That's good. I prefer that.
Yeah, the version I have, the subtitling is great. It's very good.
Okay.
And I would not. The acting is wonderful, and I'm glad they didn't dub it. Like it's. Yeah. They also, a lot of the soundtrack is stolen from Raiders of the Lost Ark. They also
like the whole soundtrack.
Not all of it, but a lot of it is they steal.
Just like, do they use the theme, or do they?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
It'll blow your mind.
So Raiders March is in it, and
as well as a couple other scenes. I can try to remember the name of the songs, but
wow,
yeah,
that. Yeah. See, I love this when, like, other countries, like, I mean, they just don't care about IP law. So many of them, they, like, well, you're not going to come get us, and so we just rip whatever, and you end up with these very unique.
And so for those wondering, the reason it never got any release outside of its original theatrical release was not just because it was Turkish in 1982. It's because there's so much plagiarism and copyright infringement that they would never release it elsewhere. Hence, why you have to get these bootleg copies.
Yeah.
They went and got a 36 millimeter, film, the canister that they somebody tracked one down in an old movie theater and scanned it. That's the only way to get a copy.
It's so great.
And now it's digital, so we can all enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's just an incredible. The story is so earnest.
This is an action movie.
It's a martial arts film.
It's a martial arts film. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I would classify it as a fantasy martial arts movie, but there are some robots. So science fantasy.
Okay.
Yeah. A key super science device in the movie is a golden brain.
The golden brain.
Yeah. I don't know that it's explained exactly why it exists, but it is believe a human brain. They very much, it has to be human. They need humans for their blood and their brains. And it makes a force field from brain cells.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I love it.
See, this is a thing. So, and this happens a lot with foreign cinema for me, and even not so foreign cinema, in that there are things like a golden brain. Now, I'm certainly above average in my understanding of Islam.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I'm not super, up on Turkish culture. A golden brain might mean something it's just so culturally ingrained.
Right.
It doesn't need exposition. You know what I mean? And I really, it annoys me when critics, my most famous example would actually be an American film, that being Jupiter's Legacy. Jupiter Ascending. Sorry, Jupiter's Legacy is a comic book. Jupiter Ascending. Mm-hmm. And it was made by the Wachowskis. Kind of famously, I think it was the last major original property, science fiction, big budget property, I think that it was ever made. It has Channing Tatum in it, Mila Kunis. For a lot of people that is an instant, okay, I'm never going to watch that. So, whatever. Sean Bean's in it too, though, folks. So, anyway.
Get over it.
Right. There's a scene where Mila Kunis' character is getting surrounded by bees.
Okay.
And it's the proof that she's the queen. And I will never forget, I love this movie, but I will never forget critics saying, what is that? Suddenly there's just bees surrounding her? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Okay, here you have people, and look, I can also empathize, but really, here you have people who have no fucking understanding of Egyptian culture. In fact, many other cultures where, yes, bees are a symbol of royalty, and are incredibly commonplace. This is ancient human stuff. What do you got?
Well, we just need an entomologist.
Right.
Regardless of ancient symbolism, bees have a queen. What do you?
Yeah, right. Even that makes sense.
I feel you don't even have to go down the road of being this is a metaphor that has been used for not centuries, millennia.
Right.
You just have to have heard of a beehive before.
Yeah.
Just what's the first thing to know about bees? They make honey, and they got queens, and then drones, and that.
Yeah.
There's other stuff to know, of course, but
yeah. No, you're totally right on. It's a great allegory. It's a great it's excellent symbolism to use even on that.
It'd be like watching
more superficial
a car movie.
Right.
They kept stopping for this stuff called gas. What is with that? Just drive the cars. What is this movie about? And you'd be look, I know we don't all know how a car works.
Yeah.
But we know that you need wheels.
Yeah.
And there's this liquid you put in it, and somehow it turns that liquid into moving. Maybe we don't know how.
Right.
That's okay.
Right.
We don't all need to know how it turns this liquid into move forward.
Yeah, it's liquid Schwartz.
Whatever.
It just makes the Winnebago go.
It just goes. Right. But you don't have to understand combustion and compression ratio to be okay, there's a couple things to know about cars. We've all seen a car. Liquid goes in to make go. You need more when it goes low.
Right.
That's come on. The same with bees.
Yeah.
I'm just being
it's just how it works.
What do you mean you don't know that bees have a queen? What do you...
Yeah. So
we're not talking about esoteric animals.
No, right. They are in their own way. The bee is the most common symbol in Egypt. well, in Egyptology.
We're not talking about some weird sea slug that nobody's ever seen. And
exactly.
You don't know that they eat rocks. And you're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing at the bottom of the ocean. We're talking about a common insect.
Right.
That we have all over the planet.
Right. In that sense, it's not esoteric. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
You're like, yeah, did you know that dog? You're like, yeah, we've all met dogs, right? Like, we've all seen a bee. What do you...
But this is the thing, is that, like, with a lot of, again, that's not even an American example. That should be so basic. You picked up on it instantly. But, like, a lot of this foreign film, like, there are symbols, like the golden brain might really mean something big, like I said, in Turkey. And
I acknowledge my ignorance on Turkish symbolism and brains. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So sometimes, like, I wonder. But anyway, that's besides the point.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just weird things in this, you know, and we run with them.
We just go with it.
Yeah.
We just accept that this is this man's journey to fight corruption and what's the word I want?
Corruption.
To fascism, to all the big words.
Yeah.
Right? I think there's literally a line early on in the movie when they've crash landed and they've come upon the locals and they're being like forced to fight each other for the blood and the da.
Yeah.
They're kind of watching and they've been like tied up and they're looking at each other and they're like, what should we do? And I believe he's like, the line is something to the effect of he going, well, I think we should fight for freedom or something like that, right? And they just like tear their ropes off and they just start kicking ass. And you're like, yeah, like this is a human story. Fight for the freedom of these poor people who need to be saved.
Right.
And you can like, you're like, yeah, this is a story. This is like a cause I can care about.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah. And then we did analyze the some of the other material in the movie when we were watching it today. Yeah. And we're pretty sure it's implied that the wizard was maybe the Pope at some point.
Whoa.
Maybe.
Okay.
They throw around some
Plot
religious
thickens.
terminology very loosely.
Yeah.
So we tried to piece together maybe what was going on. So I think they were also like, liberate ourselves, from the shackles of religion and so on. Maybe it was a message in the movie. It was unclear. It was unclear.
Right.
Draw the conclusion. Like good art, you can interpret it how you want.
Yeah.
Like a holy text, you can interpret it how you want.
Yes. I mean, just pick your translation, folks.
Exactly. Are you reading it in the original connotation and the original language? Probably not.
Right.
So do whatever.
I love this, and this
good.
This is one of my favorite. Again, with like B movies and all that, like even if they don't successfully pull off whatever the fuck they were thinking or whatever their pressures were from whoever was funding the film. Like you watch it and you go, okay, what were they trying to say? Or like, this is something I've done since I was a kid. Like, that there are scenes that weren't filmed that led from A to E. There was a B, C, and D there, even though we didn't get to see it. What were those scenes? Can I imagine them? And oftentimes, like those scenes that I imagine can take a shit film and, and turn it into, a Scorsese.
Sure.
Yeah,
I think that there's like trying to go, what were they thinking? What were they trying to do? And I think that some of that is where the critique of genre fiction comes in, of going like, oh, what were they trying to do with this story? The guy was liberating them from the evil overlord.
Right.
Like, but that's still a story, right? Were they doing anything new with it? I don't know.
Yeah.
But like, and maybe if you ask the creators, what was the story you were going for? They're like, I don't know, I wanted to punch some guys.
Right.
But you're like, okay, but there's still a story here, and this is probably like, we're talking now like Jungian archetype story where you're like, it's this innate part of the human psyche that there are these certain stories we all know. You're like, okay, that's still a story.
Yeah, right.
Right. He was still he wasn't innovating, but he was still telling an essential human story.
Yes.
In a way that has plywood swords being swung around at each other. But nonetheless, it was a story we all identify or recognize.
Sure.
It's still a story and not just porn.
Yeah, right. I mean, at the same time, like, how many King Arthur movies are there?
Sure.
Who cares? I'll watch them all.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, like, right, if we start getting into being like, well, it's not an original story, be like, take it up with Shakespeare. Go,
yes.
Go start digging in that area of
Right.
like where did these stories come from that Shakespeare was writing about? And it's like, yeah, you ripped off the play from the guy next door.
Yeah,
he just did it better.
Yeah.
But like, you think he's the first one to write a story about King Henry III?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else wrote a play about that guy.
Mm-hmm.
The fucking king. Yeah, other people wrote about him or any of these other people.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, no, these are stories. We all tell stories. Some people tell them with more finesse than others.
Right.
But like, and guess what? His special effects were terrible, and people
Shakespeare's?
still, yeah,
I know.
and people still loved them. So if you've got issues with being able to, see the wires, and right, and poor lighting and so on, well, guess what? Shakespeare still impressed the hell out of everybody.
Damn right. So go after Francis Bacon. I mean Shakespeare.
Oh,
sorry,
yeah. It was. No, I'm very much in the Bacon camp.
Yeah, me
for
too.
Sure.
Me too.
For sure.
Totally. Yeah. So, I mean, this is fantastic because I really, you get so many people today who say, "Oh, there's nothing good, new that's on," which isn't true. There's new movie. There's still good new movies that get made. There's still good new TV series that get made or whatever. Okay, but there's such a plethora. There's just a wealth of movies that have, well, they may never have been played on the shores of America, for one, and so you can go and enjoy those, like this Turkish masterpiece.
Yes.
Okay. But I mean, yeah, there are so many movies, and tell me if this resonates with you.
Okay.
Because another joy for me watching these kinds of films, like a big part of the reason deep down inside of me why I want to watch this movie that you talked about. First off, you recommended it, and you're a man of taste, and I recognize that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody
That
wearing a
resonates
Neil,
with me.
yeah, right. I mean, anybody wearing a Neil Breen shirt, like,
Come on,
holy
folks.
shit!
Come on, folks.
Hack that government, folks.
Yeah.
You can see that on YouTube and Spotify, folks, if you want to. But anyway, so, but yeah, so you're a person of taste. But the reason that I want to see it is it's something that very few other people have.
Sure.
I enjoy, yes, we live in a world of to some degree faux scarcity of things. Okay. At the same time, there is kind of that scarcity, and the thing that will always be scarce is kind of like experience. Some of these kind of rare experience, and I always go for that. Like a book that very few people have ever read, or a movie that very few people have seen, especially depending upon what territory you live in. And yeah, I get such a joy out of that, out of seeing movies that are effectively rare. And just that's the context. I mean, does that resonate with you?
I think so. I think that I think I would agree with the part of the appeal is to see something new. Right. And what's like I was mentioning a moment ago, but then part of the fun is then going, oh, this is just a overthrow the evil overlord story.
Yeah.
It's not so exotic.
Right.
That we're talking about like unintelligible, right? Just like the ravings of a crazy person, so to speak, right? Just like nonsense. It's not that. You're like, this is still
something,
a human experience,
yeah,
but it's also one that like nobody has seen and yet everyone could understand.
Yeah.
Right? I definitely think that is an appeal to finding these little gems.
Yeah.
Right? Of just being like, wow, somebody made that. I appreciated it. I went on a journey.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's almost something mystical about it in that, you're learning some secret truth, and something that wasn't supposed to be written down, but here it is. You know what I mean? It's something along those lines for me, and yeah, I do the same thing with music, where it's like, nobody knows this band. Oh, I'm the only person that has this demo. Things like this. You love that. And it's not that I want it to be kept secret. I'm glad Sloppy Second Sales is making this available to anybody who wants it,
I think that's the important step of being intellectually mature, of finding the scarcity, and then going, I should share this.
Yes.
Right, and that's where you avoid going down the hipster, right, trope of being like, well, only I know about it, and I couldn't be bothered to tell you, and it's only cool if only I know about it.
Right.
And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
This is the same as being a venture capitalist sitting on your pile of money and be like, it would be nice if you had money. You wouldn't understand because I'm not sharing. And you're like, okay, thanks for showing me your yacht. Yeah, right, asshole. Like, fuck off. If you're not going to, like, enrich all of us.
Sure. I mean, yeah, no, that's great. I mean, it's like the people who have, like, the rare arcade games, but they won't let anybody come in and dump the ROM, you know, so that everybody can put it into MAME and play it. And it's like, why? And they think that, it's suddenly going to lose its value. No, the people that want the physical fucking original arcade version of it, they're not going anywhere. Right. They're still going to put the money down. Right. But, you know, there's no reason to keep everybody else from enjoying it. Sure. You know, right. And we're circling back to us, us being like pirates and anti-capitalists. Yes. Being like, fucking share it, man. Yes. Right. Like, information loves to be free. Yeah. So if you, so I found this, I shouldn't put it that way, but I viewed and enjoyed this amazing film and was like, I want to share this with more people. Yeah. I'm not just going to bring it up in conversation and be like, you'll have to find it. Yeah. If you can find a good copy, you might appreciate it. Yeah. And instead, I'm like, I want to tell people, like, everybody was there. I was like, this is why I like this movie. This is why you'll appreciate it. Now we can all share this experience together. Yes. Right? And that's just as special. Yes. Right? And you're like, I think that people expect that if I'm showing up with this weird movie, I'll be like, you guys don't get it, but we're going to watch it. I love that you get together in a theater to do that, because like I feel like you're bringing together two incredible worlds that existed for a long time, may not exist so much anymore, but like it's like halfway between the blockbuster video worker who knows the movie you should see, and is going to recommend things to you that not even the internet could. But then also the theatrical experience, which is that communal, almost ritualistic experience. And that is super powerful. Like, that's so cool. It's been great. And a lot of the movies people bring in are not the weirdness that I bring in. You're right. You're a special guy. I'm one of a kind. Putting it gently. Yeah. You are unique, just like everybody else. Yes. Yeah. I love that phrase so much. I should get that on like a t-shirt or something. There you go. But like, people bring in, like a couple months ago, we watched like Ocean's 11. Right? Oh yeah. Right. Just a movie that they're like, I haven't seen this since it came out in 2001 or something. Like, I just haven't seen it since then. It was a really popular movie. I remember enjoying it. And we're like, people are allowed to bring in whatever they want. Yeah. No judgment. It's just your opportunity to be like, I've always just wanted somebody to watch this movie with me. And you're like, okay, that's cool. So we've had like a whole gambit of different movies and genres and so on. And the thing that, I bring to the table, I guess, to the club is I'm bringing in these obscure movies where I'm like, more people should see this. That's so awesome. More people need to be aware of the man who saved the world. I love it. So go ahead. I was just going to say, and people appreciate it. We don't walk out and people are like, fuck you for making me watch that. Yeah, right. Well, there's food. I mean, I assume there's food. We eat before. Oh, you eat before. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. I mean, you can go to there's the concessions counter. You can get your popcorn and so on while you're there. Sure. Yeah, but it's not. We don't have like a meal in the theater. That's so fucking great, though. Man, I love that. Okay. All right. So, what other have you brought? Is this your first time bringing one of the movies? No. Can you think of other movies you brought? Yeah. So we have the whole system is we're literally pulling names out of a hat. Mm-hmm. So you don't know who's going to be next or when you're coming up, and it just helps keep it engaging. Yeah. Like there isn't a schedule to. I mean, we know when the next club meeting is, but it's not until so today was my month, and then I pulled a new name out of the hat. Yeah. Like, okay, you'll be next month. But part of it is, right, there's only 12 months in the year. Yeah. And we have usually more than 12 members. So not everybody gets a spot. So your name rolls over. So, like, you get more token, like your name is in the hat more than once. It kind of like, we have this, like, rollover system. Okay. So that it's kind of like, yeah, it's all being done to be equitable. Who the hell knows when your name is going to come up? And so, like, famously,
I was the one who, like, for like the first season and into the second season, my name still hadn't been pulled, which is fine, whatever. Like, everybody else's, we're just all seeing these great movies, and mine finally came up, and it was like, and I think my name at that point was in the hat twice now.
Yeah.
We're still like, wait. And I'm not the only person, but it was just like,
Sure.
you know, I was one of the people who was like, we should do this, and then hilariously, my name wasn't getting pulled. So the last time my name got pulled, it was I brought a lovely, I think it's French.
Uh-huh.
I think it's French is the language of this movie, but it might have been made in another city that's French speaking, not in France proper.
Okay.
I'm thinking of, like, you know, like the Netherlands. I don't know why my brain is.
That's right. Yeah, like
my
Switzerland,
brain's
like France is spoken a lot.
Yeah,
Sure,
right. My
yeah.
brain's scrambling up my geography right now,
Yeah.
so apologies to Europe. Or if they are in fact French and I'm misremembering. But in any case,
Right.
the movie is called A Town Called Panic.
A Town Called Panic.
A Town Called Panic. Highly recommended. It is a claymation stop motion film. I believe the first time I watched it, I did not realize there were subtitles and thought that it was just gibberish and that it was just like a visual piece.
Yep.
And like just watched it with unintelligible dialogue and still found the film quite interesting.
Right.
And it was like, that was fun. And then it was like, oh, wait, there's subtitles. They were speaking, like, French. Oh.
Yeah.
Like, watched it again and
Just
enjoyed
quick. Or go ahead. You watched it again and enjoyed
it even more. Yeah.
Yeah. Just quick. Like Mel Gibson's Apocalypto. So this is back when I used to torrent a ton.
Yeah. I'm familiar. I have not watched. It's hard to get a copy of that movie.
Yeah.
But I am aware of the film.
Yeah. I didn't know there were subtitles in that.
Oh, sure.
I thought the movie was fucking amazing, though. You know, it's all happening in...
Get me a copy of that, because that's on
my
movies I want to watch and haven't found a good copy of yet.
Hell yes, yeah. So, fantastic movie. Way better even when you get the subtitles. But
sure.
I watched the whole thing without the subtitles and still enjoyed myself. So this happens, is my point.
Yeah, it's not just me.
Right.
Not just me being just stupid and not looking at the DVD label closely enough or the menus or whatever when I just fired it up.
But A Town Called Panic.
A Town Called Panic, yes. It is... How do we even explain this movie?
I know what you mean.
I think there were, like, maybe some short films or something that happened before the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like, in France or something.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen them. That kind of had already established these characters a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, it's the story of these three roommates. Horse, cowboy, and Indian.
Only the French.
Oh, yeah, right. It's sort of the kind of thing where you're like, okay, I could see some cultural stereotype problems going on here if you were to put this in America. They don't really touch on it. He just happens to be this Native American,
sure.
Because they're basically like the old pewter plastic toy figurines that they're based on that. They're not
right.
exactly that.
Like Indie in the Cupboard kind of stuff.
Yeah, yes. Exactly. Like the design of them is to look like those toys.
Okay.
And hence the names is that these are like these toys.
Yep.
But they're not toys, but the design is based on that. And so it's horse, cowboy, and Indian. They live together, and they are just little bundles of chaos. With just the like the type of logic coming out of something like a Looney Tunes, Three Stooges type of a universe.
I mean, is there like points where the clay is just exploding?
Not
really.
I mean, I don't even know how to describe what happens.
Yeah.
But basically, I think the plot essentially starts with Indian and cowboy forgot that it was Horse's birthday. And they're like,
such a great plot.
Yeah, and they're like, what are we gonna do? His birthday's tomorrow. We got to get him something.
Yeah.
And so they go online to order bricks because they're gonna make him like a barbecue, make him a little like cooking, fire pit type of a deal. But instead of ordering like 100 bricks, they order like a billion trillion bricks. And so they start having more and more bricks delivered.
Okay.
And it's just getting out of control. And then weird invaders from underwater. No, they don't live by the ocean. Start like stealing their bricks. So then they like want their bricks back. It just goes.
It goes there.
It just.
I love it.
It's just insane.
Yeah.
It's just insane.
It's so great. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking like Fantastic Planet kind of stuff. You know, once again, only the French.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's sort of a little bit stream of consciousness.
Sure.
Type of a plot line.
Sure. See, but I can appreciate that too. I mean, I wish there were more movies where, like, look, life does not happen in a narrative structure. You know, in the sense of like, you know, beginning, you know, and then climax, and you know what I mean. Like there's rarely the climax, especially for women.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's tough.
Yeah,
It's tough
and so like, I'd love to see more movies where they did that. In fact, Ellen and I just last night we were watching, you know, after doing ayahuasca, we were watching, as you do, you know, we were watching Colossus: The Forbidden Project. Okay, this is a movie from the 70s.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm ignorant of this.
Fantastic movie, American film. Okay, it's about AI before really like the term AI was like bandied about.
Okay.
And well, I won't give anything. Let's just say it ends very interesting.
Okay.
But let's just say it's not like a super happy ending. And I actually kind of miss that daring of the 70s where like a movie can just end and you go, wait, that's it?
Sure.
Like, and it's just not like positive. Not necessarily that it's like a bad, I mean, it certainly can be, but like, it's just not that typical, like, oh no, let's tie up the loose ends. Let's,
you know the other famous example that you're making, and I think this was also 70s, maybe early 80s, but I think late 70s was Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that
just ends because they just were like, we ran out of ideas.
Yeah.
And we didn't know how to end our script.
Sure.
And we literally just have police show up and arrest everybody and punch the cameraman.
Yeah, right.
It just ends. There's no conclusion. There's no resolution. I guess the conclusion is they all go to jail.
Yeah.
Or implied.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, dare to just end the movie
right
in an anticlimax, I guess, is in that case is the answer.
Yeah, but, no, it's a fantastic example and one of the greatest movies ever made.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and like Blazing Saddles, like suddenly, like how the fuck do we end this thing? And instead, it's just everybody like rushing through 20 different movie sets, you know, and like that's all you can do. We don't know where to go from here.
Yeah, well, I think it's like stream of consciousness. You're like, is that a story? And you're like, your life is a stream of consciousness.
Yes, exactly.
And there's much less editing in your own life.
Right.
So like, this is still a story.
Right.
And like, the Town Called Panic, like everything is these characters are earnestly trying to get something done.
Yep.
And it just, every problem leads to a new problem, which is like, you know, it's clowning. It's, you know, and so this is still a relatable story because you're just watching one problem lead to the next.
Right.
Instead of it being discrete scenes and that type of plot, you're like, this is still a story, and you can relate. You've had a day where everything went wrong. You wake up one morning and you spill the coffee and you got to clean it, and then you bang your head and you go to the doctor, and on the way to the doctor you get a call and this thing happens, and you're just like, nothing's going right in my day, and you're like, there are stories about this.
Yes.
This one's being played for laughs, but like, yeah, that's a day. That's
yeah. No, I love that kind of streaming consciousness.
The only editing we get in life is going to sleep.
Yes.
Right? The reason that we have episodic narratives is because our lives are episodic narratives.
Yes.
You're like, what happens between the episodes? You're like, I don't know, I go to sleep at night. I get a break between each episode of my life.
Right.
You know, and therefore it makes sense that the discretization of my life would be replicated in a story.
Yeah.
Right? That you can have these... Anyway.
No, I'm with you.
Right? You're like... But then within that, you can have the stream of consciousness.
Yes.
Without the editing of just following this all the way through.
Yes. Yeah. 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 So, folks, there are a ton of movies out there that you have never heard of.
Yeah.
That have been around for decades even, that are completely worth your time.
Absolutely.
You know? And if you know, maybe sometimes it takes a little bit of a mental shift to be like, okay, no, I got to be in a maybe non-American frame of mind, you know, to really appreciate, you know, some of what's getting put down.
It's so good to like it's like, yeah, glimpsing into other cultures.
Oh, yeah.
And realizing not everything works the way it does here or there, or like, it's a great glimpse. We can't all afford to travel, but like with books, where you're like, you can go anywhere in a book, and movies are a similar, like, show me how you see the world.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the first time, and I think just based on, conversations you and I have had, it's like the first time you see real Hong Kong cinema.
Mm.
And you go, it's like, yeah, Rambo's a great action movie. Yeah, Schwarzenegger makes great action movies, but holy shit, they ain't that.
Have you seen John Woo's early films?
Right. And you go, oh my God, like how do people even move that fast?
Oh, I watched Hong Kong cinema recently called I think it was The Executioners.
Oh, yeah, the trilogy. Yeah.
And there's like these three women,
yep,
right, the leads. And in like the first movie, a baby gets horribly like dropped on like a pile of nails. It would be a bad way for anyone to die. And this happens to like an infant. Yeah. And you're like, like even you or I would like clutch at our pearls, right? It would be enough for us to be like, whoa, guys. Yeah. And then you realize this like cultural thing in our head about like we would never show violence towards a baby, but they're going, you think that nobody has ever hurt a baby? How ignorant are you? And you're like, I mean, you're right. In the same way that we're like, never kill the dog, right? And that's like, we break that rule occasionally in American cinema for like dramatic effect with John Wick and everything else of like, they killed his dog. And you're like, you'll watch those movies and someone will brutally run over a dog or whatever, right? And you're like, he's a bad guy. Yeah, why wouldn't he do the bad guy things? And you see stuff like that where you're like, look what the bad guy just did. Yep. He killed a baby. And we're like, you can't show that. And we're like, he's a bad guy. Yeah. What they do. Right? And it's like this cultural piece of being like, yeah, what, you think an American has never been villainous and killed a baby before? Yeah, right. I'm pretty sure we could find a quick Google check to be like, this is still happening, right? But like, oh, that only happens in these other countries. And you're like, no, we just don't put it in, like, culturally, we just, like, we don't talk about it. Yeah, exactly. We don't talk about those problems. You're like, and so there are other things you can learn culturally besides...
like how to kill babies.
Besides the fact that babies get killed sometimes. Yeah. And it's, a tragedy when the villain drops the baby onto a pile of nails. You're like, there's other cultural lessons to learn. Yeah, but those are great movies.
But they're great movies. I mean, The Executioners, especially, like Arrow Video, I think did a release of those recently. Phenomenal.
Yeah, and I don't know, those movies just made me be like, oh, the laws of physics are just meaningless in Hong Kong.
Maybe they know something.
I think they do.
Maybe they're a little closer to the truth.
I think the what's the right pronunciation? Feng Shui.
Feng Shui. Yeah.
I think maybe we should pay a little more attention to that. We got to get our concave and convex mirrors and place them around our house like they tell us to. Yeah. Get the good energy in and the bad stuff out. And...
what's amazing to think about too with Hong Kong cinema, like the biggest stars in that. I mean, aside from Chow Yun-fat, it's usually women, and it's been that way for a long time.
Oh, sure.
I mean, even Jewish women. I mean, Cynthia Rothrock.
And
fucking amazing.
Wow, I'm blanking on her name. Michelle
Yeoh. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I had a moment of mind blank there. Right, and you can go way back to like early Jackie Chan films. Yep. Right, he was height of his fame and had no need for a co-star. Yep. Right, that guy did not need anybody else on camera except people to punch and kick. Right. And she's in his movies kicking ass and is an equal. An equal character to him.
Yeah, watch the Super Cop films, all of them.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I was trying to think of, the Super Cop movies. Yep. And you're like, whatever. Women kick ass too. I'm not saying it was great for women in Hong Kong in that time period, but at least in the cinema, it seemed that they were just like, they kick ass too.
Which is such a funny thing, because today, of course, what is the most common complaint against modern films? The girl boss, woke as fuck, all that stuff. And it's like, what the hell are you talking about, man? Have you ever watched a single movie not made in America? Yes. Because it is all, like, the quote-unquote girl boss has always been there, and it's legit. I mean, just try talking shit about Cynthia Rothrock. Though they probably would because she's Jewish, but whatever. So
I honestly, forget that she's repping for the Jews.
Yeah,
I mean that in in a silly kind of a way that I'm like, oh yeah, no, she totally is.
Yeah. Oh,
that makes her even more awesome.
When I was a kid, I thought we were related because her real name's not Rothrock, it's Markowski, and I was like, oh.
I think that's why the Rothrock is seems culturally ambiguous to me,
a little
right?
bit.
So it's
Mine's
not
Roth,
quite cluing me in.
Yeah,
and then it's like, oh, she's a Jew.
Yeah.
Hell yeah!
But
Hell
she is literally recognized around the world as the queen of martial arts cinema. I mean, just flat out. She has so many awards. Phenomenal.
Yeah,
Absolutely phenomenal.
I've seen a few of her films, and it's like I'm sad I haven't taken the time to watch more of them because, man, she'll
so good,
break, kick ass, yeah.
I mean, anyway, maybe that's why not a lot of people talk about Hong Kong cinema now. Sadly, I'm glad we are. Pushing back on that.
Oh man, Hong Kong cinema is just so good.
It's
so good.
Yeah, I mean, if people want like a really great weird example, like go watch The Magic Crystal.
There's I could get out my letterbox list and start giving you titles of movies I would recommend from that era. But just go look up John Woo. Just start there.
Yep.
Just start there. I know he's made some American cinema, and it's not as good because I think that the studios don't know how to work with him, and I think American actors don't quite know how to commit to the role that he wants in the action sequences. I think there's a little bit of, we have stunt doubles for that. And then you see, like, Chow Yun-fat actually jumping through windows or something like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, actually, great point. Because I love Mission Impossible 2. Like, that movie, Mission Impossible 2. I think that movie, everybody rips on that. I don't know why. I think the movie's fantastic. And I think the reason the movie works for John Woo, because I agree with you about a lot of American John Woo films, don't exactly land. But the reason that one does is because Tom Cruise, he'll do it. It's like, oh, you need me to ride the motorcycle? Okay.
And I don't mean to suggest that, like, use a stunt double, be safe.
Yeah, sure, of course.
But that there's sort of like a, like a Tom Cruise or a Harrison Ford, where they're going to give you as much as they can up to the point of it being like, have the professional now actually crash the plane.
Yeah. Right.
Right? And you're like, and that's what I mean with like, John Woo
100%.
wants you to give him as much as you can get, and then we can edit in the other guy.
Yep.
And I feel like some, will just be like, yep, tap out.
Yeah.
Bring in the other guy, and you can lose a little bit with that, which is not a dig at stunt doubles.
No, right. Oh, I mean, these are the unsung heroes.
That's what I'm getting at. Right. Yeah. They're like the ones 100%. Who will literally be like, we need to hit someone with a car. And they're like, you can hit me with a car and I'll make it look cool. And you're like, why aren't these people being paid more?
I know.
It's the artistry of knowing when to use the stunt double.
Right.
It's not a diss on the stunt double.
No, not at all. Yeah, not at all. These
use them intelligently, awesome. Okay? They're a valuable resource that we're running over with cars.
Yes, exactly. And oh man, and those poor guys, like, sometimes they do die, during this stuff, which
terrible things happen to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and then you see the like, the stunt doubles that exist, any big Hollywood star basically they're just full-time staff for them now.
Yes.
Right? Because you're like, you look exactly like me.
Job for life.
So I need you to always be in my movies. And you'll see the, like, Dwayne Johnson stunt doubles and the Tom Cruise. And they're like, these guys look exactly like them. You're like, yeah, he's the guy who literally got dragged behind a train. Yeah. We just did that. We just did that to him.
Yeah.
Like,
unreal.
And he doesn't get to go to the Hollywood, the walk into the movie theater where we're like praising and taking pictures of everybody, and you're like, where's that guy? Like,
get him in the Golden Globes. What the fuck?
Yeah, and you're like, yeah, he was here. The cameras didn't really take pictures of him.
Yes, you say that, and that pisses me off so much. Because, I mean, again, some of these guys really do, like, they give their lives for the fucking movie, and they get no recognition.
I'm sure they're paid okay, but, like, come on, where's the recognition?
Yeah. I mean, I think, like, famously, like, a movie, it's a little hard to watch, and it's not because it's a bad movie, but the movie XXX with Vin Diesel.
Oh, yeah,
okay?
yeah.
There's a scene where they're going through Prague, I believe, at the end, and, like, it's supposed to be Vin Diesel, like, he's, like, getting dragged behind this, like, submarine missile thingy, and he's on a parachute or whatever, and, like, he's about to go under a bridge, because you're literally going through the center of, through this river.
Yeah.
And the camera, you see it, and, like, the person coming down, clearly it's the stunt double, And then next thing you see is like, quick shot to Vin Diesel on this missile boat.
Mm-hmm.
The guy didn't make it under the bridge. The stunt double hit the bridge and he died instantly.
I did not know that.
Yeah. And like, it's hard to watch that now because it's like, oh shit, because why the camera changes.
Oh, why
it's
it
like,
cuts and now he's suddenly, I made it.
Yeah, right.
I made it the rest of that. Somehow I got into that bridge and now I'm here.
You're right, because the guy died. But
Damn.
like, the only way you know about that, honestly, is if you watch the DVD and you had the audio commentary on. It's the only way you know about that. And that's tragic. Like, I mean, it's tragic in and of itself, but it's tragic that why aren't these people talked about? Why aren't they given awards? Where's the lifetime achievement for them, during the Oscars and shit like that?
It's like, it's the I guess the inverse of Jackie Chan's movies where he shows all the bloopers at the end.
Yep.
All the time.
Breaking his ankle and rumble in the Bronx. Yep.
Yeah, right, where he does half the movie with a cast on his foot with like a painted on sock, so it looks like a... And you're like, look at the stunt man.
Yeah.
He got horribly injured and continued on,
Shit.
Like, good for this guy. Yeah. Or like anytime they're fighting and he accidentally, like breaks somebody else and they all stop and he's like, dude, are you okay?
Yeah.
I hit you too hard. I was supposed to hit you that hard, like.
Even doing that would be great in some kind of heavy action film.
It would be amazing to see them be like, in a Marvel movie and they show the Chris Hemsworth's stunt double and show him getting bashed around, obviously on a green screen, right? But he's still getting brutalized.
Oh, sure.
And then for him to be like, yeah, I'm okay. And everybody's like, good job. It's probably the second unit director is there like, good work, buddy.
Yeah, see, and what I think that comes down to, I mean, it's multiple things. There's egos. There's all kinds of things. I'm sure that come into play, especially in America.
Playing into it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that in the American mindset, you would ruin the illusion. You'd ruin the magic of what's happening if you showed people that. Like, if you showed that how that's happening. And as to where I think in, shall we say, Asian cinema and in other territories as well, no, magic is everyday life. Like that's just a part, like, well, sure, of course, kung fu people can do this wacky ass shit or whatever. And so seeing how it was made, there's no magic to take away because magic is just so culturally ingrained.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, don't break my illusion. Oh my god, I'm hanging on so desperately to to this version of reality. Oh my gosh, I can't handle anything that would shake it apart.
Yeah.
Don't show me the behind the scenes.
Yeah. As to where for them, again, like this is just inherently understood. And boy.
Yeah, right. And there's just something about like there's nothing, it doesn't make it less magical to know that art was happening.
Yeah, no, not at all.
That this movie wasn't actually a documentary about a cop
right.
who had to save the day. No, this is a movie. These are actors. No one was actually murdered with guns in this movie. Those were fake.
Right. No, and I think it makes it more magical when you know. Like it's the exact opposite. But I think that's the way that these people think is that don't break the illusion. Don't
sure.
No, fucking break it.
It's right. The opposite of Vin Diesel, whom is wonderful, a cultural treasure.
Sure.
He sort of is like, I am as badass as my characters. I am, he's talked about, he's like, I'm an alpha, whatever, right? And you're like, I mean, you do you, buddy.
Yeah.
But then you also have, the I am as badass as the characters I play. And it's like, dude, those are all special effects.
Yeah.
You have a personal trainer, and you can be way more jacked than the rest of us because you have nothing to do all day.
Yep.
Mad respect. But then you have, who is it that played James Bond?
Daniel Craig.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yes. And he's gone now, and he's done a bunch of roles and commercials and whatever, all undercutting the masculinity of that character of James Bond, where he's just like, yeah, that was just a character I played.
Yeah.
I'm not a super assassin saving the world. And he's done, roles where he's very effeminate, right? Like, very undermining of the masculinity, playing against the cultural perception of him.
Yeah, right.
That he's just like, fuck you, whatever. And I not to speak for him. I'm sure he has his own thoughts on it.
Sure.
But he's very much just being like, yeah, I'm not that guy. I'm not actually a badass, and every role I play has to be a badass now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm an actor. Here are other roles I'm going to play.
I appreciate that bravery on his part.
I really
courage.
Appreciate that of being like if I was in an action movie or something, right? And I'm a Bruce Willis, underdog saving the day. When you saw me talking about that movie afterwards, I'd be like, oh yeah, if I had been in Nakatomi Plaza, I'd be dead in the first 5 minutes.
Right.
They would have shot me.
Right.
I'd be dead. I'd walk on glass and just be like, you can have me. None of us are like that. Right? Like, I wouldn't, and who knows, maybe the marketing team would be like, you need to shut up and stop doing interviews.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what would happen, is that's the part I'm ignoring, right? But that's it. I would just be like, guys, I'm an actor. And I appreciate when actors are like, yeah, I'm an actor. And I like playing badasses.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm not a Navy SEAL or Green Beret. I'm not actually that.
Right.
I play one.
Right. I feel like Keanu Reeves kind of falls into this too, because
he's another good example of.
Yes.
I think so. He's like, yeah, I'm John Wick, but I'm like not a gun nut.
Yeah,
I'm not.
It's like, but I actually love all of you. You know what I mean? Like you're all beautiful.
Yeah.
He's amazing. And he's also potentially a vampire, because there's those pictures of him in the Civil War, which are kind of weird. But anyway.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with your ego.
No, right. Living forever does not preclude an ego.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Separate considerations. Correlation is not causation.
Right.
Et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
He has nothing to prove to anyone because he's never going to die. So it just
exactly. He's the one. So, with all that said, all right, hold on.
Okay.
Last question.
Okay.
Because we've been going an hour and a half. So,
okay.
And we didn't make fun of a single libertarian.
Okay. I mean, what time is it? I mean, I still got time.
You got time. All right.
I'm like, sorry.
That's all right.
Man. You're the boss. You say when we got to turn this off.
All right.
The hard drive's full.
Yeah. Fortunately, this thing has like 4 terabytes.
All right.
It is insane. I had that very much in mind, because doing shit in HD is preposterous, and is actually, I think it's an environmental disaster. Like, I have to, all right, quick shop talk.
Okay.
I have to upload this shit to like 5 different sites, and each one of these things, if it's like an hour and a half long, this is going to be like a 25 gig file.
Okay.
That I have to upload to 5 different places every single week. Like, someone do the environmental math on that. And it's all because, we got to fucking have video. It drives me nuts.
Oh, sure. Yeah, right. One thing to think about, and again, a hard drive is not a large object.
No, right.
But you're
not
like,
anymore.
how many metals went into that?
Yeah, right. Yeah, how many rare earth metals do we need to put this thing together?
Right, there's so many things, and to be like, I don't know, maybe we have enough of it, and it really doesn't take that many, and it's mostly iron. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I'm not up on it, but that plus exactly then being like, okay, I have it in 4 different continents. Each needs its own nuclear reactor to run the electricity.
I mean, we're screwed either way, because you and I, we love physical discs, right? And say we were putting this on. I mean, then you got microplastics, with fucking Blu-rays and shit.
Every time I pick it up, I get more microplastics.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, every time the thing starts spinning, it's just blasting microplastics into the air into my face. But
we're screwed. So,
yeah, whatever. The Romans drank their water out of lead pipes,
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Look what happened to them.
Yeah,
they went nuts.
Fine. Yeah.
The internet's the same thing. Okay, so. But anyway, it just, oh man. I mean, as for audio, in the quote unquote old days of 2012, 2013, 60 megabyte file, boom.
Oh yeah,
right.
And it's high quality audio.
It sounds phenomenal. Yeah. But oh no, we've got to have fucking video. Oh god damn it. Anyway, thank you for that digression.
You're welcome. You're very welcome.
All right. So here's a question.
Okay.
You brought this on yourself.
Okay.
Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Have we talked about this before?
Maybe we did. Did we?
Maybe, I don't know if we've talked about it on mic.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Okay.
But we can rehash this for sure.
Yeah, sure.
See,
do it.
Here's why the answer isn't easy.
Yeah.
Is the qualification for being a Christmas movie that it happens in December?
Uh-huh.
Is that, in which case, okay, there are lots of Christmas movies then. Plenty of movies happen when it's snowing outside. Go watch like a ski movie or something.
Yeah,
like, when it was December and snowy.
Yeah, but nobody would say Aspen Extreme is a Christmas movie. That's a good point.
But like, what month is it?
Yeah, right.
Okay, then I guess it is, right? Like, it feels like almost like a straw man argument of just being like, what are you actually trying to discuss here? What are we really getting at with this question?
Yeah, I love that because, like, what raised the question in the first place?
Yeah, like, why are we worried about this? Like, what is the concern?
Right. Did some, like, father of 3 who was out of a 6-pack, you know...
And he's like, we're watching Die Hard this year, and the wife comes in, and he's
right.
like, if we watch Die Hard one more time this Christmas, we're getting divorced. And that man got divorced. He went online, posted about how he's like, Die Hard can't be a Christmas movie anymore. And then it just sparked, you know, that was in Usenet in 1997, and it's just been going ever since.
See, that's what I imagined. Like, what is even the origin of this question?
Like, what do we...
Like, who is concerned?
Yeah, is there like we have this vault where we can store these films forever, and only Christmas movies go in, and it's really important for us to make a distinction, because otherwise your movie won't go in the vault. Like, what are we talking about? What is the argument here?
Yes.
That would be like, you know, if it doesn't have a gun in it, it's not an action movie or something. And you're like, I don't know. Action movies could be all kinds of... It doesn't have to have a gun, does it? And you're like, it does! Yeah. It does! We're like, what?
Well, like
Jesus
said, I didn't, you know, I came to bring the sword. So.
It has to have a sword. You know what I mean? Right. You're like, it can only be a Christmas movie with the following qualifications. And it's like, okay, cool. Nobody had told me. I wish we had established that as like a requirement.
Yeah.
Do you see a Christmas tree in the film? Okay, great. We have a rule now.
I mean,
we can then evaluate.
Right. I gotta admit, people do take this pretty seriously, and I'll share a quick personal story. Okay. So, I had a previous marriage that I don't like thinking about at all.
Okay, I won't mention it again.
So, and my at the time, my father-in-law, it was Christmas, so he was visiting up from Orlando, and my father-in-law he brought Zardoz, the DVD of Zardoz. Special edition DVD with Sean Connery.
Is this?
Okay.
Am I getting ahead of a...
No. It's not a Christmas movie. You're 100% right.
Okay, I mean, passed the test.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a Nietzschean movie, and I don't know what that means, but anyway. Okay. So
continue. Yes.
And so we watch it, and I wanted to watch it like really badly because I had seen scenes from this movie for many years, like on the Sci-Fi Channel, because and they're unforgettable. Seeing Sean Connery in that little red thing that he's wearing, whatever the hell that thong is, I don't know.
If I could pull it off, I'd wear it too.
No, right, same, right.
If I look like Sean Connery at that age,
and that long hair, the whole thing, the high boots, totally, yes. Okay, so we watched it.
Okay,
and I'm like, he brought it over. I'm like, you want to watch this? I'm like, fuck yeah, I want to watch this. It's like I've been wanting to watch this my whole life, and so we watch it. And after we watch it, the next day, like my, at the time, mother-in-law, who they were not, the father-in-law and mother-in-law were not together anymore.
Okay.
Was just like really like kind of cold and just like very irritable, like the whole day and everything. And I'm like, what happened? Like, what's going on? And come to find out, she thought that it was like almost downright satanic to watch like a non-Christmas movie on Christmas, even though the movie was actually a Christmas gift.
So you watch it on the 25th.
Yeah.
Watch it on Christmas.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And that was so, that just did not work for her, and it became a huge thing. So what I'm saying is people do take this seriously. What do you got?
Oh, I to that particular caveat of being like, what can you watch on the day of Christmas being an additional qualifier? If someone pulls that, I would go, you know, Jesus wasn't born in December.
Right, he was born in May. Yes.
So what is... Right, you're right. You're just like, I guess everything's meaningless. Go. I guess we're there now. And nothing means anything. This is just when we celebrate it, and there's all, plenty of history and reasons for why we do it the way we do, which is fine.
Yep.
It's fine to celebrate Christmas in December.
Pick your day.
Yeah, whatever. Right. Go ahead. I don't care.
Saturnalia. Let's go.
Yeah, right. Let's appropriate all the pagan holidays into new ones, whatever. I don't care.
Right.
It's fine. Great. We need something to do in winter. But like, but at the end of the day, there's somewhat an arbitrary nature to it, and you can't watch other films on. But then
But if it's a gift, though.
Like the whole rule is stupid. In case I was not clear, it's stupid to be like only Christmas movies, because then I'm just going to follow up with going, but wait, because like God said so, in which case we can't watch Tim Allen in the Santa Claus because that's secular. That's about Santa. That's not about Jesus.
Yeah.
So there's actually the films we can be watching on on the day we celebrate Jesus's birthday.
Right.
Are actually only movies about like ancient Rome or something. Like,
I mean, and then what happens, because if it's like the life of Jesus, if it's King of Kings, it goes into Easter. Like, do I have to stop the movie halfway?
We can't watch movies about Jesus dying. That's Easter. We can only
That's
watch
what I would think, if this is how the rules work.
If that's how the rules work,
yeah,
then let's take them to the appropriate conclusion here.
Right.
And go, I only want movies about Jesus as a child.
Yes.
Notably, we don't talk a lot about Jesus as a child in the Bible. So, like, we
it's
really
amazing. 13 years
we
gone.
We just skip, right? So, like, we're going to have a lot of what do I want to say, poetic license here to fill in some details, which is blasphemy. But if we're
what do we do?
But if we're only talking about Jesus being born,
well, because it raises the question, like, wait, where do we stop? Like, where should this movie stop on Christmas?
Yeah.
Because once it stops being about that, like, do we stop at the manger?
So I guess...
how much of a movie do you make about
I guess
the manger?
Really it's just we can only tell the story of the whole manger situation, right? I guess that's which is a classic story to tell. But you're like, and then as soon as baby Jesus starts breathing air and exits the birth canal, it's like, all right, story done. Jesus survived his birth. That's it. That's Christmas. We're just here to talk about his birth.
So, clearly Die Hard is not a Christmas movie.
by this woman's rules, I'm sorry.
Oh, man.
Unless we are to take Bruce Willis exiting the vent that he climbs through as him being Jesus being birthed.
Oh, that's the birth canal.
He becomes the savior once they go to shoot at him. Or they go to find him, and he's in the bathroom, right? And he's taking his shoes off, and he's doing his knees.
Yes.
And they come, and he grabs his gun, and he goes into the vent.
Right.
That is him being sent by God, right? There's no woman present. There's no conception, right? It is God just sending his son to save us, right? Because there's no thought or plan into conceiving him into the savior of Nakatomi Plaza. Right. It is God this is the time, and he gets into that thing, and he lights up his thing. He goes, "Oh, come on, have a party, have a good time." Is that lighting, right? God is, right? Adonai is let there be light, and he is letting there be light, and he is now born in the birth canal, appearing here free of mortal conception, and then he crawls through and emerges the savior.
Right. And exclaims, "Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker!"
Yeah, Jesus said a lot of
right,
for sure. But like think about, and then think about the process he goes through, right? Like he I mean, does he get the full stigmata of wounds during that movie?
Does he ever take something to the hands?
I think he's just shy of that. But I mean, the metaphor still holds.
Yeah.
Like there's some artistic failings in fully realizing it.
Sure.
But he is essentially gets crucified and bears the weight of everyone else's sins in that plaza in the building. He's bearing it for all of them.
Yes.
Right, except for Judas, and there's the repentant thief, and it's like, okay, you will not be saved. You will be saved because you are going along with my plan,
right?
And you are not. You get killed off. You don't get to be saved, right? And he bears all of this, and by the end, right, he shoots the devil in the face.
See, this is what we're talking about. Those cultural symbols.
Yeah.
The golden brain. Like, you don't know that it's there, but believe me, it's there.
It is there, and I think Die Hard might be more of a Christmas movie than people think.
I am blown away.
And
I don't mean the movie with Kurt Russell. I mean, I am
Yeah. That's not. I don't know if that's a Christmas movie. I'll have to think on that.
No,
one. I'll have to think on the metaphors of
yeah.
that movie.
I still think that might be a porn.
That one might be in the porn category. Yeah, let's circle back to that.
I mean, there's Tommy Lee Jones, but anyway, I don't know. All right.
Yeah. So I guess in conclusion, if what's John McClane?
Yep.
John McClane is a metaphor for Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Which I see the name there might have a pattern.
Yeah. There's something like
McClane,
take away the
Christ,
M.
You know,
right? Like Jesus,
and
Mary,
John.
Christ. You know, the M. Mary.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Keep going.
So if we accept that as who John McClane represents, then I think yes, it is. It's a Christmas movie.
Yeah. I mean, it's even in the title, like Die Hard. You know, like
Jesus dies hard.
He died hard.
Yeah, I mean, crucifixion is one of the
That's
hard
brutal.
ways to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man. Okay.
And they keep thinking he's dead, right? And he
No,
keeps
right.
going.
Right. And
And they're
I
like,
mean,
no,
and
this guy's coming back. I know he's coming. He's...
Die Hard 2. I mean,
Also that.
it's the second coming, literally, the number 2.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
These
You're
are the things
welcome.
you learn in podcasting.
Yeah.
I mean, this is...
You're welcome, everybody.
I don't know where we could go from that. But...
I mean, I can keep going, but also...
No, right.
Right.
Man. All right. Well, all right. So, okay. Really, very last question.
Okay.
And this one won't require anywhere near the amount of exegetical interpretation as we just stunningly broke into.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Recent films.
Mm-hmm.
Recent, as in like past year or two. Best one to come out that you would recommend to people to watch.
Oh, golly. Now you're asking me the hard questions.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
that I've seen any of them.
Man. Well, I mean,
what,
that's an answer in itself.
Yeah, I don't know that I've seen much of recent note.
I'd have a hard time as well.
Yeah, especially because I got the movie club, so I'm already getting into the theater.
Yeah.
I saw what's it? The Marvels. Was that recent?
I think that was recent.
Right, and
Holy
had
shit.
the 3 girls, and they were
Yep.
like being baby superheroes to become superheroes,
Yep.
and she had the
Yep.
vision. Is that the Marvels, or was
Yep.
that Madam Web? Madam Web.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Madam Web. That's what I'm thinking.
I mean,
of.
the Marvel movies are all the goddamn same.
Yeah. Madam Web.
You watched Madam Web?
Yeah, well, like I said, I have a passion for watching
Terrible movies.
terrible movies. And
That's perfect.
And I watched it, and that movie is bad. That's a whole other discussion about what I think went wrong with that movie.
Yeah. Okay, so that's one you would not recommend that people watch.
No, because the story falls apart.
Right.
The reason the movie doesn't work is for story reasons, not for special effects reasons or script or acting or any of those things.
Yep.
Well, I say script in that, the written dialogue, it was fine, but that they lost the story. And I think that was lost in, the editing and producership side of things, not necessarily in its origin.
Sure.
And when they were setting out to make this movie, I bet they had a good story and it just got crushed under editing and producers.
Okay.
That's my interpretation. I'm not fully informed on the production of that movie.
Right. Which I'm sure was its own disaster. I mean, this is why movies are so expensive today. It's because they keep reshooting.
Yeah. Well, plenty of people hate on the movie for being like, I'm tired of all these women.
Yeah, right.
And it's like, shut the fuck up and fuck off.
Yeah, exactly.
Just fuck right off.
Yeah, it's like, the woman's the main character. The woman's like the superhero.
Oh, that therefore will be bad. It's like, no, get fucked. I'm not saying that.
Right.
Let me be crystal fucking clear. That movie got wrecked by editors and producers squeezing the story out of it.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
And then these unfortunate women were left to be the faces of this piece of media.
Right.
Despite their best efforts.
Right on. So let me ask, I'll adjust the question.
Okay.
Is there a movie you're excited about that's coming out soon? Can you think of one of those?
What's coming out soon?
Tron Ares, maybe. No. New Predator movie. That's something I'll recommend. Actually, the animated Predator film that came out recently, Killer of Killers, amazing.
I'm not up on my Predator lore, and I'm sorry. That's on me. That's on me.
That's a Christmas movie.
Well, I guess I got a lot to watch in December.
Come on, kill me. I'm right here. Do it. I mean,
oh my God,
Schwarzenegger is totally
that's my number one quote from that movie. Do it right now. I'm here.
Right
kill
now.
me. I think there's other stuff in that movie, but that's just That's just the only quote that's worth repeating is him begging to be killed to get somebody into a trap.
Yeah.
I'm gonna set off this trap. Don't worry, I've got a great lure. Come on and kill me. Like, that's it.
Gotta admit, seeing him in mud though. Oh man.
That's like the in the start of Ghostbusters when they're like, "What do we do?" And he's like, "Get her." That was your plan, Ray. Get her. Arnold had an equally good plan of come here and kill me. I'm like, this was a comedy the whole time.
Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah. As far as things I'm watching that I think people should watch, I guess is what we're trying to get
at. Yeah.
I've recently been watching The Righteous Gemstones.
Whoa.
A friend lent me a Apple streaming credentials.
Yep.
So that I could partake in some of the shows there that I've been told to view. I've been watching The Righteous Gemstones. It's quality.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know what to expect. I knew nothing.
It's a series.
Yeah. There's 4 seasons. I think.
Holy shit.
They ended it. He was like, I'm good. That's all I want to do.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. Mad respect.
Yeah.
I knew essentially nothing going into watching the show other than that I was told to watch it.
Yeah.
By a reputable source. And it's really good. I love watching them just make fun of mega churches.
Fuck yeah. Oh, I'm watching it then.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
What's brilliant is they don't even really get into the misuse of scripture.
Yeah.
It's really just about people
just the people
just will be greedy.
It's all it really is anyway.
And how being rich makes you stupid.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
That's really what it's about, is about how being wealthy makes you dumb. And these people are so dumb and they're so wealthy.
I love this.
And to me, a good comedy is you want the protagonist should be punching bags.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You should want bad things to happen to them so you can laugh about
it.
Not all comedy is that, right? But that's a great classic recipe for comedy.
Yep.
And that's why it works so well. It's just so well performed.
Yeah. I love that you bring this up because, first off, I'm going to watch that. That sounds amazing. But second off, this blows my mind. When people say, oh, there's nothing good or new, there's nothing new that's good anymore. Just get an Apple TV Plus subscription and you'll be proven wrong so fast.
Yeah.
It's insane. And I think it really does come down to that Apple just makes so much fucking money. They don't micromanage.
I think there's something like that, Matt.
Yeah.
That's the magic in there, right? Where they're giving enough autonomy to quality content creators. Yeah, I think there's good shows, spread out amongst the platforms.
Yep.
And Apple's got several. And if you're like, oh, everything sucks, it's then cancel your subscription to that one.
Yeah.
Switch to this one. Watch all these good
Yep.
pieces. Ignore the rest. There's going to be a bucket load of other things. Ignore it.
Yeah.
Watch those. Cancel your subscription.
Yep.
Switch over to this one. Now they've got something. It's that's what you got to do. If you're
Yeah.
just I only watch, even if you just had Apple, and you're I've watched everything. You're like, okay, cool. Cancel Apple.
Yeah.
And go over to HBO Max. Or whatever. Even Netflix has a couple of gems in there.
Sure.
Right? Watch that. Cancel it and move on.
Yeah, it's just, I agree. And it's amazing to me though, when you compare, and if you do what BP was just talking about, listeners, I think you'll go to Apple TV and you'll go, what is different here? And I don't just mean it's the story, the production level, just everything somehow looks ridiculously sharper. I just don't know how they do it. Everything looks so
I
cream.
think part of it is they've got the money to throw at it, and they've got the money to be hands off.
Yeah.
I do think some combination of that is what's helping them out.
Yeah, because I'm with you, because I think that's what we're missing from the days of the movies we were talking about. Is that back then, the guys that ran Warner Brothers, whatever, they just wanted movies made, and they make a few, they make good money off of it or whatever, but they weren't in there.
Sure, think about when Ghostbusters came out. It could be could you pitch that movie now? An original property that's never been heard of, and be this is scary occult shit with ghosts, and these guys with lasers capture them, and the apocalypse is coming because of this dark prophecy of this cult that made a temple on top of a skyscraper in New York City. I'm whoa, it's a comedy. We're giving you $0 to make this
you
movie.
would never make that.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
they just don't do it anymore. Right. Like that. And that's what I think what people are bemoaning is that like those ideas don't see the light of day.
Yeah.
Right. If they do, it's a rarity. Yeah. Instead of if you like look at what movies came out in 1984 and you'd be like, every single one of these is insane.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, 100%. Actually, there's a great... was it 1984? I was going to say, there's a great documentary series that Mark Altman made recently that he put together as a movie that talks about that as being like the greatest year. Maybe it was 82.
It's somewhere in there. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
it's on my. I'm aware of the documentary, and it's definitely one that interests me.
Right.
But it's one of those, somewhere in that 82 to 85.
Yeah, it's like the greatest movie year ever, and it's insane. Yeah. Anyway, so this has been one of my favorite conversations.
You're welcome.
I did
You're
not.
Welcome.
Yeah. I mean, and this is the beauty of it is, and I love the stream of consciousness. Like, we didn't have much of a plan. We're like, let's just sit down and let's just start talking.
We knew that we were going to talk about, we were like, let's start off with what did you have for breakfast?
And we'll
I was like, okay.
And then it just rides. And oh, do I love that. You know, like sometimes it's great to just not have a plan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like my whole life. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So I shirk all that responsibility.
This is Loki, folks. All right, well, BP, anywhere you want to lead listeners to, or do you want them to completely ignore you?
Oh, I don't think I have anything to lead them to right now.
Not right now. You're
think...
in between acting gigs and whatever else you're doing.
Yeah. I'm busy planning life stuff right now. I got a busy life right now.
That's true.
In my personal life.
Yes.
Nothing nefarious. Just I got a house and my mom bought a cabin to help fix and so on. So I got nothing creative I think I need to be plugging right now. I would say everybody should just keep listening to your podcast.
Thank you. Imagine that. I've never heard a guest do that. and not on my show, on any show.
Really?
Where the guest says at the end, it's like, the host says, is there anything you want to plug? And the guest says, listen to this guy's show. Just listen.
I didn't realize that was novel. I had no idea.
I think you just broke a mold somewhere. Once again, you've been doing it your whole life.
I know. I don't try to, and then I just keep stumbling my way into breaking molds when I'm just a bearded white man with glasses. I'm not trying to...
Well, I am honored. So
So in any case, people just keep listening to this podcast.
Damn right.
Yeah.
Damn right.
If you want more content from me, just keep listening and I'll show up again sometime.
You will. Because I've got a lot more I want to get into.
There you go.
We got to make fun of Elon Musk. Got to make fun of libertarians. We have a lot of people.
Oh yeah. I'll rag on those guys. Yeah. Either one, both. Yeah, I'm gonna say untrue things about the libertarians and get a real fire. Man, I've read.
We are gonna straw man so hard.
I am not doing homework for the libertarian one. I'm gonna make the wildest claims. I'm gonna talk about the guy who lived across the street from me who wanted me to vote for him, and just oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I live in the Granite State, okay?
Yeah,
I meet libertarians out on the street.
Oh, we're special. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the Granite State.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. Well, BP, again, absolute pleasure to have you on, and we will have you on again. And I didn't expect this conversation to go this way, but there's so many things here that I've wanted to talk about for so long, and they just happened, and you did, and I love it. So, all right, everybody, we will see all of you on the other side.